Welcome to the Primitive Lifeways channel. In today's video, we're going to go over two of my favorite knives, the Mora number 1, and around my neck, the Mora number 2. We'll carve a few traps, demonstrate a few different skills, and again, check these out side by side. So stick around, we got a great show coming up. All right, folks, so I want to welcome you back, and we're going to first start off with the Mora number 2, and then we'll migrate over to the Mora number 1. We're going to carve out a couple traps. The first one is a Paiute Deadfall, and then we'll migrate over to a Hopi bird snare. Both are extremely effective out in the Southwest as well as the West Coast. Quite frankly, the Paiute Deadfall is one of my favorite traps. Out here we have a lot of rodents. We have mice, rats, squirrels, antelope, squirrel, and they have been proven to be very effective by past people as well as modern people. The Hopi bird snare, same thing. The Hopi bird snare is very effective. It was used by past people as well as still used today by modern people. We have a lot of quail out here, so with both of these traps you have the potential of providing meat for yourself as well as your family, or both. We're going to work with a couple different tools. Again, the Mora number 2, the Mora number 1, and then I have a piece of sandstone that I've been using over the past few months, as you can see, to grind down some of these platforms and to take off some of the edges of the wood. So I'll just kind of work this down a bit, get that nice and flat. And we'll first start off with our post stick. And you know, one thing that I see a lot of folks doing with these Paiute traps is they'll pitch the stone up about that high, and then the bait stick will rest right under it. Well, the problem with that is it has a slower reaction time. So even if a rodent does nibble at that bait stick, this is going to not only pin the trap underneath the stone, but it's also going to work very slow, giving that animal a chance to run away. So I like to have a nice gradual pitch, about like that. And the way you do that is you shorten up your post stick. And another thing you don't want to do is you do not want to bury your post stick in the ground. That's also a common mistake. So we'll just take the knife and we'll start beaver chewing in this wood. Until we can break this off clean. Now these Moras are actually my second Moras. I used to have a Mora number 1 as well as a number 2 back in California, but when you move, a lot of shit gets lost. And unfortunately, I lost my 2 favorite knives. But you know, for the price point, $15 to $18, you can't go wrong here. Again, you do not need to spend $200 on a knife in order for it to perform well out in the field. Now, you're not going to take these knives out here and baton with them. These are carving knives, carving tools. So you got to be appropriate with the task. All right. So there we have it, our post stick. We'll remove a little bit of material up top. And that should be good. Again, we'll take our sandstone and we'll work down this sharp edge just a little bit. And that should be good right there. Now we'll carve our lever stick. And one thing we want to do when carving this out is we want to leave room in between our notch and our stone. The reason is when this thing springs, we want the trap to land on top of the stone, or even better, away from the stone. So grind down a bit of a platform here. Just kind of round that off a bit. And then I'll take my knife again, beaver chew around, and break off this lever stick. And this might be too long. That's not too bad. So that's about how I want it to sit. So again, I have room in between that notch and that stone. I'll first shorten this up a bit. And I like to expose some material here, just so when I'm working at night, I can figure what component goes where. And again, we'll take that lever stick, flip it around here, take that lever stick and mark out a point. It'll sit about right there. And that's where we will carve our notch. Flip it around. And again, just remove a bit of material. We are just carving a simple V notch. I don't want to carve this too deep. Just about like that. All right. So that should, that's my other post stick. That should be about good right there. I'll flip it over on this end, and I'm going to score around the wood, and that will set my string. Then from my first score to my second, I'll go about 1/8 of an inch, since I'll make a reverse wrap cord. We want a bit more room. All right. Then again, I'm just removing that outer bark as well as the cambium layer. That'll be good. So again, our post stick, our lever stick, That's where the string will set. It'll wrap around the post stick, and that toggle that we'll make in just a second here will sit inside of a groove here attached to the string. We'll go ahead and start that right now. And what I like to do for my toggle is I'll just take this long stick here and I'll just flatten both sides. And this will actually give me a couple toggle sticks. All right, so here's our toggle. Nice and symmetrical on both sides. I'll actually be able to make a couple toggles out of this. I might even lose a bit of material on this right side, but looking good. So at this point, I'm going to roll up a bit of hemp cord and we'll proceed on with this trap. So I like to use a natural material. Bear grass, hemp, yucca fiber, agave, dogbane, nettle. They all seem to work quite well. I stay away from the synthetics just because of the scent it carries, especially bank line, tarred bank line. So we'll just make a reverse wrap cord, pinch in the middle, and again we'll roll away, let go. We have our cord made. Just gonna trim up these two tag ends. And I'm just going to square knot this off in our groove here. Square knots will work, half hitches, clove hitches, whatever one you prefer. I just do a couple square knots here. Pull that tight. And now we'll lash our toggle on. I use a clove hitch down here, so I go just a little bit above this notch. Make our X pattern. Take that tag end. Feed it through the center. And pull tight. All right, so our toggle is now lashed onto our string and we trimmed up both of the ends. And technically we can use this trap as it is right now, but what I like to do is I like to cut out a groove for my toggle to seat in. Again, I don't want to carve it too deep, so usually I get a nice shallow cut just so it holds it in place and it's not moving up and down on me when I'm trying to set my bait stick. I have a couple lines etched out, so we'll just take our knife and we'll cut into the material. And we'll pop that center out. Now the important thing to do when you're cutting this is you want to make sure those grooves are directly in line with your notch up top. You don't want it pitched over to the right or the left. You want everything to sit straight. We'll finish this up and then our trap will be ready to set. All right, folks, so here's our trap set up. We have our post stick, our lever stick, our toggle stick attached to this piece of hemp, and then our bait stick resting against this stone. So ideally we have this set again in a location where we find animal activity, a rat's den, a small game trail, and then we would bait the tip of our bait stick. So the animal comes in, it forces its head right on the tip of the bait stick where we have our bait, it nibbles on it, and you can see what happens. Now, you can also see how the trap pushed away from the stone. That's what we want, as we discussed before. But another important thing is here in Arizona, we have a lot of soft soil. So if you notice, I have an additional stone that I rest this post stick on. That's so this doesn't dig down and push itself into the earth.